So now we're going to take our coil line, which with 830 was our worst one. Well, 831 and a half, but close enough. So we go 0.83. You want 50 thou extra clearances to be safe. And you got in your lift, which was 472. 472. We need to be around 1350, 1355 install height. So that's where we need to be at. You remember that number?
1352.
Yeah, that 1350, 55. Somewhere in the ballpark. So we took a checking spring. Some kind of idea where we're at. First thing I'm going to do is check the height. So we're just going to go from where the collar sits on the bottom to the guide up here. So we're pick a number that's close to what we want. So it looks like we're about a little over 410. This one over here looks like we're about 390. So the intake is a little bit higher than the exhaust. So we're going to use the intake for a measurement because we know that's the worst one. We'll gain 20 when we do that. So now you take one of your collars, springy dingy, one of your uppers, take your valve spring compressor, hold it down, put your keeper in there. You measure it. We're at 450 already. So we're already 100 thou past what we need. We haven't cut the seat yet.
Right.
So these have clearance for way to hell up there. And we're just using stock parts because these collars here are same as stock. So they must have made some big difference in how they made these heads because we're at 450 right now. We're 100 thou more than we need. So that means instead of good for 472 left, we're good for 570 right now. We haven't cut the seat yet. A lot of clearance. So that means to get the valve spring tension, we even got to shim the piss out of these things. So these valve guides are going to become short. I'm going to bring them way up. Put 100 thou shim under there. Be more than that, we haven't cut anything yet. Now if you're not going to ride at high RPM all the time, don't put the shim in there. The spring has an extra 100 thou clearance. You got a lot less seat pressure, it's easier on the lifter, it's easier on everything. As long as you don't rev it up real high. So if you're going to drive like an old fart, you can do that. If you're going to drive hard, then you better jack them up full tension. So you got to figure out how you're going to ride your bike.
I'm just jacking up.
Gonna jack it up.
Mm-hmm.
You might turn the throttle on.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead and check the other one just to make sure our numbers are not bogus for some reason. Doesn't hurt to double check. The numbers I used to use were 410, I think. 440, 435, so the extra clearance is, the lower clearance is coming in. I thought this one had more clearance, but this one does. This one has less clearance. So this one was lower than this. For some reason I did something backwards when I measured it in my head. That happens. What was I doing? Remember, forgot. Lost my train of thought. I'll go check something. I'm sure it was important to somebody. Okay, next thing is we'll check our TD clearance. Okay, so we got 165 on the intake. So as long as the head is flat, the valve will stay where we put it. If you put a little bit of oil on there, it'll stay there too. So pick a spot to measure from, doesn't matter where it is. Take off your 150. So there's 100, 50, and a little extra 10 or so. Okay, then you go, this one's at 190. So we're about 390, so if we go 200, make sure you're under 200. An extra 10 and 20 more. See the clearance?
Mm-hmm.
So we have enough clearance. We need at least 60 in there. So you see how this valve is lower than, if it came up, we get closer. So, so if this had a bigger cam in it, this came up a little higher. See how it gets closer?
Mm-hmm.
But the key is exhaust is low. If the exhaust is low, the intake can lift up this high, you still got clearance.
Right.
So you just got to make sure that you got clearance. So right now we just run it the way it is and it's good to go. But maybe you need to flash the seats a little bit better, a little bit of sealing.
I think so.
Maybe just flash them a little bit. But I don't have to sink them at all. They don't need to go down any deeper. So whatever minimum cleanup is, we're good. Did you drop that right there? Look at that big nick right there. Who did that? Is that you?
Not me.
Wasn't you? Look at that. Jeez. Somebody heavenize this head. Look at that. Massive. There we go. It's terrible. Look at that thing still in there. We'll leave it. It's supposed to be there. Alright, we'll be back. No, I need a top collar.
Alright.
Making more work already. So much for pre-planning. Dead airspace.
What?
Dead airspace. I should make some rude comments about the people filming parts chasers. Okay, so we just did the measurements with the all the aftermarket stuff. This is an OE lower collar. We're going to try that, see what our install height changes any. Well, I know it's going to change, but how much we don't know. Still going down pretty deep. So we're 835, we gained 5 there. Not much change. Okay, we take out the, go to a stock Harley collar on both sides. Same, 33. So we didn't gain much. The top collar didn't make much of a change, but the bottom one did. A whole 5 thou. Basically not much. Okay. So now we're going to take our valve. Put the aftermarket lower collar in there. Put the stock upper collar. Spring. So we were at just under 450 before. I think we're at 450 again. See it? Feeling we might be down 5 up. Or 10 up. Okay, so changing out the top color makes no gain on us. Okay, so now we're going to take our lower collar. Put the new upper collar on there. Try this combination of parts. Now we're about 415 there, 420. So we got 415. See it? We lost that extra clearance we gained by the lower collar.
Right.
So what we're doing is we're not having to put so much shim under the guide now by putting all these other components in there. Doing a swap around. Because we only need 355. We're at 415. We're already 50 thou more than we need right now. So that's one change. So the next change is keepers. Go over this way. Manly keepers. They have different heights. So where's the manly keepers at? Over here, the manly keeper selection. Valve locks, big twin. So the keepers. So these easily gain, or lose, I mean, not gain, lose, at least 30 thousandths. Minimum. They're a little thicker. Now, first thing I do is check fitment. So, we have a Harley collar, kibble valve, kibble keeper. Little clearance, but not too bad. This is kibble, and or what do you have? Crane upper. About the same, see the clearance? Okay, so they're about equal. Okay. Now when you take the crane and you put the manly keeper in there, you have slightly less rock, but it's about the same. So I have pretty good luck with manly keepers working, kibble keepers work. Other brands, not even close. The collar will go like this. Okay, so I'm alright with the keeper there. Okay, so now we're taking worst case components. I'm taking the Harley thick ass lower. Spring. Put the crane upper. And we use a manly keeper. See, normally I'm trying to gain clearances. Here I'm doing the opposite. Getting rid of clearances. Make sure you're pulled in all the way. We were at 415 or so, 410 before. See where we're at now. About 375, 380. Probably about 380. So we lost 35 thou. Now we're down to one shim under there to get that spring coil by where we want it to be.
Right.
And not have a big thick ass spacer underneath the damn thing. And you got to buy keepers anyway, so it doesn't matter if you buy kibbles or cranes. I mean, manly. Makes no difference. So, if anything, I think these ones are cheaper. Maybe. Toss it. Like I said, usually I'm going the other direction. I'm trying to gain, but with the STD head, we have tons of clearance. Alright, so there's some playing around with the deal. So we'll just put all this in the back of our head on what we got for dimensions. And now we know. So we got a mixture, mix and match the components. So the top collar looks just like before, didn't make any difference. But the lower did make a big difference between this and that one. Which I think are Eastern, but I'm not sure. So there you go. Now we know. And these are 74 lower collars, not 80s. But they're basically about the same. How they're made. The late 74, I said they're different. The late ones are made flat all the way across instead of being cut like that. The 80-inch actually has a bigger hole. You can't use it. At least you shouldn't use it. Okay, that's it again.